Peace to the gods and earths. It's the God-born build universal, transmitter of supreme science on earth and in the universe. And we're back, family. Season 2. I want to thank everybody once again for tapping in through all these episodes and following us through the journey and coming together to find our truth as human beings and the human family and transforming that into a reality so we live our lives and achieve the things that we want to achieve in life. And also pass this on to our babies so that they may also do the same, you know? And it's season 2 and of Live from Planet Earth. And this season is going to be titled A Glimpse in the Past. And throughout this season, we're going to do exactly that. We're going to tap into the past. We're going to look into the ancient books. We're going to decode. We're going to compare. And we're going to discuss all the ancient books, all the ancient stories, all the ancient mysteries. We're going to come together on this show, go over the text, talk about the text, decipher the text, and compare the text to other books and texts that we've read and come up with a conclusion of togetherness and unity and very, very similar stories between all the texts, which can prove that something in that nature actually did happen in some sense, okay? Because when you have more than one civilization telling the same type of a story, there's got to be some truth in what happened with that story. And we're going to decode those. We're going to go deep into those stories and find the truth inside of those stories now that we have been activated and we found ourselves, we know where we're going. Now it's time to retrace the steps to see where we're at, okay? So today, I want to thank everybody for coming back once again. And you already know how we do things around here. We're going to start out with today's mathematics. Now, today's mathematics is 9, 19, 20, 21, which is 9 and 1 is 10, plus 9 is 19, plus 2 is 21, plus 2 is 23, plus 1 is 24. Plus 1 is 24, which would give us 2 plus 4 would equal 6. 6 would be equality. Let's go to 120. Equality is the state or quality of being equal, meaning to deal equally with all in existence, okay? No judgments, acceptance for what things are and choosing to be around it or not to without actually having an opinion, but just an opinion for self to know how to move. Everything else dealt equally and fairly in all things. Equality is achieved by teaching others knowledge and wisdom, making it understood through understanding. Now see, in the mysteries, how they're breaking this down is numerically, okay? So if you do the knowledge and the wisdom, which is 1 plus 2, that's 3. So making the knowledge and wisdom understood, which is 3, the understanding, through understanding. Okay, so it says making it understood through understanding. That's like what we're doing on this show. Breaking things down to the simplest form and explaining them and breaking them down so they can be understood through my understanding. You see what I mean? Through my understanding, things can be understood. You see what I mean? And that's equality. That's what makes us equal, puts us on that same level like we did in season 1. We all became equal to our inner and our power and our higher selves, our inner selves, our inner universe. And now we are equal with ourselves and equal with each other. So now we may be able to move on and decode the mysteries all on the same plane, the same frequency without having to go back or have anything misunderstood. And that's peace, family. Okay. So now we back on season 2. Okay. And we decoding the mysteries. Like I told you, family, we decoding. We never play any games. And you know, when I pull up, it's straight science. So you know how that goes. We're breaking it down to the purest form, okay? But for season 2, every time I pull up, we decoding, okay? Every time we pull up, we decoding, okay? We opening up the present, the gifts that was given to us, and we diving in, okay? Now, they tell us we don't read books. That's why they put all the mysteries in the books. So we're going to start cracking open the books, okay? And any of y'all throughout this, in the comments, you want to let me know any other type of books or any type of text that you want to go over and decipher and go through or compare, just let me know in the comments and I'll get to it as soon as possible and we'll break that down and make that part of the series also. Okay, we want to start doing a little more interaction with each other, you know, and working through things and having some discussion so we can keep it going, keep the ideas fresh, and possibly bring a few people onto the team, man, so we can start really getting the network going down, man, and start passing the blanket around, covering the lands. All right, you know what I mean? So we here and we deciphering. Okay, so you might be saying, "What we doing, then? How we setting it off? How we setting it off?" All right. So this is one of the first joints that I tapped into back in the day. You know what I mean? When I was opening my mind, you know, and looking into other things. You know what I mean? Coming basic out of every theology like everybody else had. You know what I mean? Through Christianity and, you know, a little bit of Islam in there. You go to Islam next. Through Christianity, it's like stages through it. You know, the people that's on this journey know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So through that Christianity and through that Islamic stage that I was going through, you know what I mean? I came across some text, you know, that had opened my mind up a little bit more to the things that was to older texts. Okay, starting to realize that there were texts older than the text that I was actually reading at the time, you know. And that very first text that I had opened up was a book called The Lost Book of Enki. Okay, some of you may have read it before. A lot of people may have heard of it and know a lot about it. Now, in this book, it speaks about how these extraterrestrials came to this planet in search of gold to restore their atmosphere. Their planet was dying, and they needed resources from this planet to keep their planet for their planet's survival. Okay, so throughout this book, they keep track of when they left, the discussions they had before they left, how they got here, when they got here, what happened when they got here, and all the exact events of the whole thing and how it all exactly took place. Okay, now as I'm reading this book, the events that they're talking about, you know, they started to sound real similar, okay? Because like I told you, I was into the theology, early theologies, you know, Christianity, the Bible, the Quran, you know, tapped in heavily, all right? Always been tapped in heavily, you know? And as I'm reading this book that this man wrote, not deemed as a holy book, not deemed as, you know, anything religious, you know, but supposedly some tablets that were found and decoded, all right? So as I'm reading this and I'm looking through it, I'm finding all these things that match up because I'm an Aquarius, so I'm always deciphering and matching things up in my mind. So things starting to match up on a few different subjects and a few things that was going on, you know? So it started to make me think, like if this was older text, could this be a text that was a stepping stone or a beginning or a foundation to the text that we read now? Okay, so with that being said, we're going to go into the text. We're going to go into the Lost Book of Enki, and we're going to show you the comparison with the text that we read today, the theological text that we read today, the Quran, the Bible, the Holy Bible, and we're going to show you the similarities. We're going to talk about the similarities, and we're going to really discuss what do we think of the type of events happened, how it went down, and what really had to do with what's going on this planet and who was really here on this planet. Was it angels? Was it aliens? Was it just us coming from the inside of the earth? How did it exactly happen? And this is going to be the first stage of it. We're going to decipher the Lost Book of Enki. Okay, let's go, family. I'm excited, family. I hope you are too, because we're ready to go into the mysteries right now. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, let's do this. Okay, here we go. The Lost Book of Enki and the writers of the Bible, King James Version, tells the same story. Okay, we're going to just come right out with it off the top. Okay, we're not going to play around at all. All right, when I was reading this book that you see on the right, the similarities started to pop in my head immediately because I was an avid reader of the scriptures, okay? And when certain events and certain things that they were mentioning were popping up, I could not help but compare the two. And I'm going to show you exactly what happened right here, family, okay? I hope you prepared for this. I know you're looking like, what is this? Some of you may have heard of the book. Some of you may have never heard of this book in your life. I want y'all to be ready. Buckle up. Let's get ready to unlock, okay? We already been activated. Now it's time to go in. Now it's time to go into the matrix, all right? Now you go inside. Once you unplug and you master it, then you go in, all right? Now we headed to the source. All right, family, let's go. Okay. So on the left, we have the King James Version of the Bible, okay? Let's see what it says. Let's see what it says. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Okay? Remember that part. The Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Okay? So in some sense, some type of wind, some type of current, some type of action was going on. They call it chaotic waters. You know, in another text, they say in chaos and the chaotic waters. Okay, let's continue. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day. And the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Okay, and the evening and the morning were the first day. All right, now over on the right, we have the lost book of Enki, okay? Now this part is when they're telling when they landed on Earth, which they called Tiamat. And when they landed here, they start to record their account of what happened on the days they were here, okay? Now on the left, we got the first day of the Holy Bible. Now here's the first day in the lost book of Enki, okay? Let's go, family. All right. All right. Before we expected, the darkness came separating the earth from the heavens. Okay? Okay? Already off the top, we already see the account. Now, this is them landing on this is extraterrestrials landing on the earth. On the other side, we have God creating the planet and man. Okay? Now, here we go. Let's go back. Before we expected, the darkness came separating the earth and the heavens. Lightning pierced the darkness. Rain followed thunder. Winds blew the waters. These were storms of an alien God. Okay? So, they're experiencing a storm through nature. Okay? Now, if we look over here in verse 2, it says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, okay? And we just said it might have something to do with the winds or the currents, okay? The rain and when they got there, the sky opened up, okay? Meaning it was getting ready to be a storm. You know how it looks up there. It gets cloudy and you see how it gets gray and dark. Lightning pierced, rain followed thunder. And then the winds blew, and they said it was a storm of an alien God, meaning nature. They're talking about nature, okay? These force, a storm they hadn't seen before, obviously from whatever planet they were from. They hadn't experienced these kind of storms, okay? So it says here, agitated, we hunkered down in the chariot. We were unable to rest. Our hearts quickened, and the sun's rays returned. Smiling, backslapping, we were most joyful. And evening, then morning, marked our first day on earth. Okay? Okay? Let's go back. What's it say here? We were unable to rest. So through the storm, they were unable to rest. Our hearts quickened when the sun rays returned. What's it say in King James? And God saw the light that it was good. Okay? And God divided the light from the darkness. Okay? And the God called the light day. Okay? And they're saying right here, our hearts quickened when the sun rays returned. Smiling, backslapping, we were most joyful. Okay? They're saying the exact same things if you translate it correctly. All right? And then at the very end is the kicker right here. And the evening and the morning were the first day. The Gospel of Enki, and evening then the morning marked our first day on earth. Okay, family? Okay? We going in tonight, family, all right? You know how we do it, all right? It ain't even no need to say it, okay? You know exactly where we going. You know exactly what we doing. Season 2, iGod TV, a glimpse in the past, okay? Born Build Universal, all right? This is going on. We ain't going nowhere, all right? We continuing, we growing, and we elevating in the science and in the mysteries, okay? Let's continue, family. I hope you're ready. You see where we go, okay? All right, day 2. Let's see what happened on the second day, okay? Genesis. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters, okay? Now, this is when they always telling you about God. I guess it's water up there. The flat earthers, this is where they come in. There's water up there. You can't go in space because it's water. How you supposed to get through it, you know, and all this. This is where they're getting it from, okay? And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day, okay? So now he's telling you how he separated the waters, created the heavens or the sky, you know what I mean? Or some would say the atmosphere, and then the waters or the oceans on the earth, okay? He separated those waters. They're supposed to be the same waters is what they try to tell you in the Bible, okay? Those same waters are in heaven now. That's why you can't get through with a spaceship, all right? But obviously they did somehow, okay? Now let's go over here to the Gospel of Enki, the Lost Book of Enki, I'm sorry. Gospel, no pun, but it's the same thing. All right, let's go. With the break of the new day, we decided to separate sweet waters for drinking water from the marsh waters. Okay? Okay, family? Okay, this is like a stowaway, or you know what I mean? This is like someone lost on a deserted island or something, all right, giving their story, okay? And then we're looking back at King James, and this is about the creation, all right? But let's continue. With the break of the new day, we decided to separate sweet waters for drinking water from the marsh waters, all right? I made Engur the master of sweet waters, which was, hey, you in charge of the water. You make the good water, all right? You separate this dirty shit from the good stuff. Make sure we drinking clean water, okay? He and Alalu went to the snake pond, and behold, evil serpents were swarming, okay? Oh, okay, we're hearing serpents already. You see where we going? We're already hearing serpents, okay? All right? They reported back to me, okay? Now, this is Enki talking, all right? By the way, this is Enki talking. He commanded the ship. He actually left and went down here, you know what I mean, to come scope it out and see what's about the gold, okay? So this is him talking. We examined the abundance of rainwater, okay? I placed Enbilu in charge of the marshlands and marked the thicket of reeds, okay? I gave Enkidu charge of creating a ditch and which would serve as a boundary for the marshes. We created a gathering place for collecting heaven's rain, okay? Thus we separated the waters from the waters below from the water above, marsh waters from sweet waters we set asunder. Again, it was evening, then morning. The second day was done. Okay, family? I apologize for that right there because of the names. You know how we do it. You know, they always give you these weird, crazy names in translation. But if you're looking at what we said, okay, in 7, and God made a firmament, divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. Okay? Okay? Right here it says they created a ditch which would serve as a boundary for the marshes, which would hold the water in, okay? We create a gathering place for collection of heaven's rain, okay? A man-made pond, all right? To collect the waters. And then what they do once they collected the waters, they separated the waters from the waters below from the waters above, okay? Sifting through the waters, that's separating the water, okay? Filtering through the water, all right? Just like over here, it says, and and God called the firmament heaven, okay? Because this is where they was holding the water in, all right? And the evening and the morning were the second day. And the evening and the morning, the second day was done. Okay, family? So you can imagine me coming up and I'm reading this and just coming into the game and staying strong to the scriptures and things, which I still do because there's a lot in it. Seeing this as such a comparison right off the top from both books. And this is at the beginning of both books. So to let you know, okay? This ain't just in the middle of it or just a story that comes out of nowhere. This is going in the same chronological order as how they give it to us in King James, okay? Excuse me, let's continue. Day 3, Holy Bible. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and gathered together of the waters called he the seas. And God saw it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. Okay, which is saying the seed will be inside the fruits. We all know the fruits all have the seeds inside. They used to, they try to change that now. But this is how when it was made, okay? And the earth brought forth grass and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning was the third day. Okay, Gospel of Enki, Lost Book of Enki. The sun announced the morning way too quickly, which means the sun came up fast. They was up late. I assigned the heroes their tasks. I directed Alalu to place the grass in the trees. I wanted him to catalog all that grew in the orchards, the herbs, the fruits, and others. I asked Ismud, my visor, if he knew much about each of the plants. Ismud stepped forward. He was very knowledgeable about the plants. He could distinguish what was edible and what was not. He quickly identified a honey plant and ate of its fruit. He gave me another to eat. It was good. It was good. Okay? I put Guru in charge of the gathering of food, deciding what was good. By evening we had food and water, but we were far from satisfied. And it was evening, then morning, the third day on earth. Okay? You see in the comparison right here, family. You're seeing it. Okay? It's saying right here, and God called on verse 10, and God called the dry land earth and gathered together the waters, called the seas, and saw it was good. Okay? And then right here on 11, the fruit is being grown. And then you see in 12, it says, and after he's commanding what to happen, it happens in 12. And it says, and it all happened after his kind, and God saw it was good. Okay? Okay? Right here, he's testing out the fruit and saw it was good to eat. And then right after that, he puts Guru in charge of gathering the food, deciding what's good for them and what's bad for them. Okay? The good fruit and the poisonous fruit. Keep that in mind, okay? That's another has you thinking too, okay? Adam and Eve, we got the serpent. Now we got the good and the bad fruits, okay? Okay, let's continue. All right. Day 4, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven and divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. We're talking about the stars, okay? Talking about the constellations, all right, to help us know the seasons and the days and the years, to help us keep time, okay? This is what they're talking about. And God made the 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made the stars also. So we talk about the sun and the moon, okay? And the stars. And God set them in firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and rule over the night, and divide the light from the darkness. And God saw it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. Okay? Let's go to Enki. What happened with Enki? Okay? On the 4th day, the winds finally ceased. The storms calmed down. All right? The waves stopped tossing the chariot around. It was it was safe to bring tools forth from the chariots. Excuse me, family. It was safe to bring tools forth from the chariots. Time to build more suitable abodes for our campment. Now the storm went away. Now they're ready to build. Now they're ready to get out here and build the camp. All right. I put Kula in charge of fashioning clay bricks. I instructed Mushnamu to lay the foundations and erect the dwelling abodes. The sunshine shone all day. It was a great day full of light. Okay? Okay? You see it right there where it says, and 15, it says on the left, on 15, it says, and let them bring forth lights and firmament from heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And over here, he says the sun shined all day. It was great and full of light. Okay? Okay? Kingu, which they call the earth's moon, was in fullness that night. It cast a pale light on earth among the celestial gods. A lesser light rules the night. Okay, now this is them doing studies on the planet and seeing what's happening and keeping records of what's going on and what they observe. All right, and right over here it says in verse 18, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw it was good. Okay, and you see right here it says in when you see in 16, it says, and God made two great lights, the lesser light to rule the day and lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Okay. And then we see right here, it says Kingu, earth's moon was in fullest that night. It cast a pale light on the earth among the celestial gods. A lesser light rules the night. All right, family. Now we all know this is coming from the Gospel of Enki. This is Sumerian. This is Sumer. This is Enki, this is Enlil, this is Mesopotamia that they talk about. This is all happening in this area, all right? So if we know this is all exactly where they coming out with the theologies for Christianity and Islam is in these same areas, all right? But if we know anything about cuneiform, is which this book was written in, it's an earlier text, it's an earlier script. Okay, this book, Lost Book of Enki, is translated from cuneiform, okay, which we know is way older than Hebrew and Aramaic, Greek, or any of those other texts you can come up with. So if we're looking at this had to be written earlier than the text we see on the left, okay? The text on the right that we see is older, all right? So if we see in this being written down, someone translated it and came out with the book with the translations in their own liking, okay? That's exactly what we're seeing here, okay? All right? And this is going to set the tone for what we're doing on season two, okay? Because we're going to show you how they wrote new books and took the lessons and took the stories and made it in their own likeness from the older stories of how things happen and explanations of things that was going on in the ancient times, okay? All right, family? iGod TV. Now, Day 5. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly to moving creatures that have life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales and living creatures that moved, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind, and God saw it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply on earth. And the evening and the morning was the 5th day. Okay, so we're seeing how the animals and wildlife was created, and God's letting everything know, be fruitful, multiply, let's fill up the earth with abundance, okay? Let's see what Enki. Let's look at the book of Enki. On the 5th day, I commissioned Ea to fashion a boat of reeds. He was to measure the marsh, determine the stretch of the swamp. Umash, master of water, creatures, and flying fowl, was assigned to the task of distinguishing what was good and bad. But he never seen the likes of these creatures before. The numbers were bewildering. Good carp were swimming among things that were inedible. Okay? So right here is saying right there, as they looking and observing and looking for food and setting up the camp, all right, they noticed in the water was full of fish and full of food, okay? Good food and bad food, okay? And they couldn't believe how those two things could exist together. They're starting to see the duality of the planet, okay? All right? And right here you see in 21, God created great whales, every living creature that moved, which was in the waters, brought forth abundantly, okay? And every winged fowl after his kind, and God saw it was good, all right? Which right here, Umash, master of the water and the creatures of the fowl, was assigned to distinguishing what was good and bad of the fowl, of the birds, okay? And then the things in the water, all right? We see the exact comparison right here, family. It's incredible, all right? iGod TV, season 2, A Glimpse in the Past, all right? Lost Book of Enki, King James, all right? Let's go. The marshland master to fashion a barrier with canebrakes and green reeds so we could separate the fish from fish. All right, separate the different type of fish. All right, we trapped the carp with nets and fashioned snares. No bird could escape for the birds, good for food. All right. Thus we separated fish and fowl, determined that was good for eating and what was not. And in the evening, and it was evening and morning, marking the 5th day on earth. Okay. Okay. We see it right here, family. The comparison is incredible. All right. So we're seeing that in Mesopotamia, in Sumer, in Iraq and Iran, in the area in the Middle East, we're seeing a similar story coming out of the area. Okay. Now we see an even older story with similarities to the explanation. All right. Coming out of this area. All right. Keep that in mind. Where this area is. This is the Middle East. This is in Iraq, okay? Between the Tigris and the Euphrates, which we know is where they say the Garden of Eden was, the garden was, all right? Now we're seeing the older story saying that this of extraterrestrials landing here, giving their account, okay? Let's go. Day 6. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after his kind, and everything creepeth upon the earth of his kind. And God saw it was good. All right. And God said, let us make a man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over fish and sea, and the fowl of the air, and cattle, and earth, and every creeping thing that's upon it. Okay. So God created man in his image. In the image of God created. Male and female created he them. Okay? Okay? I don't see right here where later on they talk about how Adam was lonely and he needed someone created and this and that. Right here it says right here he made him in his image. Male and female, he created them. All right? And God blessed them, and God said to them, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, dominion over the fish, the sea, the fowl, and so on, okay? And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing a seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree, which is fruit, is yielding a seed, that you may eat which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat, okay? So he's telling them already right here that they straight vegetarians, okay? They only eating fruits and vegetables, okay? Use this for your meat. This is what you're going to eat. Nothing about animals, nothing about eating animals, all right? Saying it plain, all right? And to every beast on earth and every fowl in the air and to everything that creepeth upon the earth wherein there is life. And I've given every green herb for meat. I have given every green herb for meat, and it was so. And God said everything that was made, and behold, and it was good. And the evening morning were the 6th day. Okay. Now on this one, they're telling them about the fowl. And then it says about the green herbs for your meat. All right. So it's saying these are the things that they can eat. All right. Now what's Enki say? We focused on the creatures of the land on the 6th day. I assigned a nursag to the task of cataloging everything that creeps and walks. He was quite alarmed to discover how ferocious the beasts were that surrounded us,
And so I commanded Kula and Mashdamu to construct a fence to protect our compound before dark. All the heroes were put to task. They made and laid bricks and foundations and used trees for fencing and reeds for roofs. Okay. So as they out here checking out for the creepy things and the things of earth, the crawling around, you know, the animals in the jungle and in the forest and the woods and things like that. Okay. They're noticing that some of this stuff they need to be protected from. Okay. They ran into a few things that they could be killed by. All right. So they had to put up the fence to make sure they could be safe. Okay. And then over here in 24, it says, God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and the beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. Okay. And right over here, he's telling Ursag to the task of cataloging everything that creeps and walks. Okay. Right here, he's saying, bring forth. But right here, this is Inky saying, hey, bring forth all the animals and the beasts so we can catalog them and keep track of what's around. And in the midst of them doing that, they ran into some ferocious beasts and had to build a fence around to protect the camp. Okay, let's continue. Anzu brought the beam that kills and the speaker from the chariot to set them up in the compound. So now they brought some weapons with them. By the evening time, the encampment was complete. We gathered inside by night, safe. We felt good about all that was accomplished. And it was evening, then morning, then the 6th day. Okay. So we see it clearly right here. This is the story about them landing and how they're setting up the camp, how they're cataloging everything around them, whether it be in the sky. They already cut the sun, the moon, and the stars. They've been cataloging, and they was cataloging about the animals and the certain things. So we also know that compares to the story in the King James when God told Adam to catalog and name all the animals. Okay, all the animals and the herbs and the things of the earth. Okay, when it says over here in 26, let us make man in our image and in our likeness. All right, over here it says in Inky, he's assigning a task to his crew members to catalog the things of the earth, okay, and the things that they observe, the inhabitants of the earth and the things in the heavens, okay? So you see in two different translations, but you can see the comparison exactly, okay? On this side, God's telling Adam to do these things, and on the other side, Inky's telling the crew members to do these things, okay? Okay, let's continue. All right, on the 7th day, thus the heavens and earth were finished and all the host of them. And on the 7th day, God ended his work in which he had made, and he rested on the 7th day from all his work that he had made. And God blessed the 7th day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. Okay? Now let's look over on the right. What's it say? On the 7th day, I gathered the heroes around me and spoke. We've undertaken a hazardous journey, overcoming much as we traversed from Nibiru to the 7th planet. We successfully arrived on Ki, which we now have renamed Earth, established an encampment and completed much good. Let this, the 7th day, be a day of rest, and hereafter the 7th day always be a day of resting. You hear that? And hereafter the 7th day always to be a resting day. Henceforth, let this place be called Eridu, meaning home in the far away. Let us keep our promise, declaring Alalu of Eridu, our commander. Okay? The heroes shouted agreement in unison. Alalu uttered words of consent that paid homage to me. Let Ea be given a second name, Nurimud, the artificial fashioner. Okay? The heroes agreed, shouting in unison, and it was evening and morning. This marked the end of the 7th day. Okay? So we see it right here, fam. We seeing it right here, family, okay? On the 7th day, on the left, God, on the 7th day on the left, in verse 2, we see it says, the 7th day God ended his work that he had made. He rested on the 7th day from all his work which he made. Okay? And right here, in the Lost Book of Inky, it says, We had established an encampment and completed much good. Let this, the seventh day, be a day of rest, and hereafter the seventh day always be a resting day. Okay? Okay? All right, family, you see it right here. It says, and even look at verse 1. Thus the heavens and earth were fashioned and all the host of them. Okay? And right here it says that Ea be given a new name. Okay? Nudimmud, the artificial fashioner. Okay? Okay? We see it right there, family. All right? We see it right there, family. Okay? And it says on the seventh day, I gathered the heroes around me. Okay? The host of them. You see it in verse 1, and the host of them. The heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. All right? Meaning this, and then you look over here, it says he gathered up everybody around as he began to talk about the journey and what had happened. And then you see in Genesis, it says that he was looking at the work that he had made. Okay, looking over his work. All right. We see it right here, family. These are two stories coming out the same location, the same region on the earth. One's older and one is the one we go by now. Okay. But they're giving two different stories. Okay. One's talking about angels and one's talking about the creation of man from the spirit. And one's talking about a landing of extraterrestrials onto the planet Earth. Okay. So this is for all my people that want to talk about the aliens and who got here and were we ever visited, were we ever given knowledge and technology and what happened with it. We decoding it now. I found the book that's giving us the story of it. We going through it now, baby. Let's go ahead and decipher. Okay, family? Let's go. Let's continue. All right. Now. Okay. Now, based on numerous archaeological discoveries, artifacts, records, and monuments found in the past by experts, it is believed that the Anunnaki, Sumerian, those who came down from the heavens, okay, that's what the translation of Anunnaki in Sumerian, an extremely advanced civilization from an elusive planet in our solar system, and came to Earth, landing in the Persian Gulf some 432,000 years ago. Okay? Okay? In the last couple of decades, numerous controversial discoveries have been made, which challenge mainstream researchers in their views on the history and human evolution. Okay? Okay, because you see, they also had a creation story along with our creation story, okay? If you continue to read through the book of Enki, they created man to help them get the resources. I told you that they came to the planet for the resources, all right? And they at some point come bring a council together to decide to create a man as a slave to gather the resources for them to take back to their planet, okay? Now, in the Bible, God is creating this man to do these things for him on this planet, okay? Every time we write about the ancient Anunnaki, we come across much discomfort from various sides of readers. While there are those who firmly believe in the existence of Anunnaki and their arrival on Earth can explain many accounts which mainstream scholars cannot, there are those who believe that the ancient Anunnaki never existed and that extremely advanced civilization never existed on Earth. Okay, now those are the naysayers, all right? And they, of course, they're gonna come out with it, even though they found these tablets in the earth buried, and they know they're buried, they're saying from 432,000 years old, okay, so to speak, all right? And they know it's older than anything that they've read now. And I've been showing you the comparison of it. So if this is so ridiculous and it has nothing to do, if it's all just a fairy tale and it's all just ridiculous, why did you take so much out of it to put in your book to follow now today? That's the question, okay? That's the question. If it's so ridiculous, why would it be so close to the theology that we have today Bible and Quran, okay? Bible and Quran, okay? Because obviously they just didn't throw it away to something that's just ridiculous, all right? All right, let's continue. Okay, now, it says right here, let's skip down just a little bit to right here, family, okay? The ancient alien astronaut theory presupposes that thousands of years ago, even before recorded history, our planet was visited by astronauts from another world, intelligent beings with the technology beyond our own today. Okay? Okay? Many archaeologists around the world consider modern day Iraq as the cradle of civilization. Okay? Now, this is their story, family, all right? We're not making my opinion. It's not my opinion. But I'm giving you a comparison of how the King James and the Lost Book of Enki come together, and the locations are the same, and it comes out of the same exact area. One is just older if you check the language time, the time of the language, okay? Now, between 3500 and 1900 BC, the Tigris and the Euphrates River, which were home to the Sumerian people who prospered in this region, okay? Now, they tell you the Garden of Eden was between the Tigris and the Euphrates, okay? And right here it says the Sumerian people prospered in this region, all right? All right? Today, when we read and seek information about Sumer and Anunnaki, or people inhabited in part, we come across a controversial author, okay, Zecharia Sitchin, okay? He's the one who wrote the book, The Lost Book of Enki, that we're talking about, okay? Now, right here, let's skip down a little bit, all right? He says, the Anunnaki came to this planet who came to Earth to mine gold. Sitchin practically suggests that the extraterrestrial visited Earth in the past because their home planet needed gold to survive, okay? Like we said, the planet was supposedly dying, so they came here for the resources, okay? And it says approximately 250,000 years ago, according to Sitchin, the ancient Anunnaki merged their alien genes with that of the Homo erectus and created a species known as Homo sapiens, okay, obtaining as a result a genetically bicameral species, okay? However, the humans were a hybrid species and could not procreate, okay? They couldn't give life, all right? Since the demand for humans as workers became greater, the Anunnaki once again manipulated ancient mankind so they could produce on their own, okay? 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 Now, right here, it says how they blended in. Now, it says in the Bible how it says, created man in our image, okay? So in the book of Enki, it says they merged their DNA with those of the human Homo erectus that was already on the planet, all right? Now, if we see back here, it was saying about being fruitful, all right? Okay? It was talking over here about being fruitful, okay? And we know it tells man to be fruitful and multiply. He tells man, okay? Now it says right here, the first generation that they did couldn't reproduce. So they had to modify the genes and make them to be able to produce and multiply. Okay? I told you, family, it's word for word. It's word for word. And it's coming out of the Middle East. This is Middle Eastern doctrines, okay? This is where this is where their scriptures come from, okay? A piece of where their scriptures come from, okay? This is only the beginning. I'm going to show you that throughout the season, okay? Let's continue. Okay, now let's look at some of the events that the Book of Enki holds account to, and so we can compare them to the things that we know about from the King James, okay? All right, now let's see here, all right? This is telling from the beginning when they first left from a distant solar system. Okay, they escaped and discovered this planet. Okay. Now, the second one says when Enki comes down here, they build the station. We saw they built the base for the extracting of gold from the waters of the Persian Gulf. Okay, and we saw earlier how it was saying how what God separated the waters. Okay, they talk about separating the waters. All right. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay. Now, it says right here when they're looking for the gold and where they finding it at. All right, they find gold down in South Africa, okay? Drawing lots of gold, okay? On the Earth mission in Africa, okay? All right, so it shows you right here in Africa is where there's another spot down that they found down in Africa from the Middle East, and they travel down into Africa where they find this gold and where they start mining the gold to take back. Okay? Okay? Let's keep looking. Okay? Like I said, we deciphering it together. We going through it together, okay? Now, as we go through, what else do we see that catch our eye? Okay? Okay? Right here is where they talk about they getting tired of mining and getting the gold they sell. Okay? So in 3,000 years BC, 300,000. So in 300,000 BC, they talk about how they toiling for the gold. Okay? And Enki and Ninhursag create a primitive worker through genetic manipulation of the ape woman. Okay? This is where you get your ape theology of the people coming from apes. Okay, this is where you get that story from. Okay, and they take over the manual chores of the Anunnaki. Okay, Enlil raised the mines, bring the primitive worker to Mesopotamia, giving it ability to procreate. Homo sapiens begin to multiply. Okay, so here they start off and they blend with the ape woman to give birth to a slave to help them pick the gold, dig for the gold and the minerals of the earth to take back with them, okay? Now right here, Enlil is the brother of Enki, okay? It says now his people, the people of Enlil, now they both have two units, two squads, okay? We got Enki squad and we got Enlil squad. Once he gets down here to help out, his brother comes down to help out, okay? So we see that he takes the primitive workers and brings them back with him back up to Mesopotamia from, I remember now they're in Africa doing this digging. So he takes them back up to Iraq, Iran, to the Middle East and messes with the DNA, giving them the ability to procreate, okay? Because here with Enki, they can't procreate, so they only have so many workers, okay? So Enki takes some of them, so Enlil takes some of them back with him and taps into the genetics and gives them the ability to procreate and tells them to multiply. Okay? You see it right here, family. I'm giving you the long explanation so you can see exactly what we're talking about with no mistakes. Okay? So bear with me through this, family, but we're going to break it down. Okay? Okay? Now look here as we keep going, all right? Now right here it says in 200,000 BC, they go through an ice age. Life on Earth regresses during a new glacial period. Climate warms again in 1,000. So 100,000 years later, the ice age is over. Okay? Okay? And it says the climate warms again, Anunnaki, the biblical Nephilim, to Enlil's growing annoyance, marry the daughters of man. Okay? So this is where you've seen in the Bible how it says the gods have started to take a liking to the children of man, the women of man, okay? And they started to mate with them, okay? And you see with Adam and Eve, she was tempted by the serpent, okay? And when she was tempted by the serpent, she ate the apple, okay? Which was the curse, okay? And some say in the mysteries that she was seduced by the serpent and he had sex with her, and that was the curse, okay? And that was the mistake that the woman made. She had sex with the serpent, okay, with the evil serpent, okay? And I'm gonna show you who that evil serpent was in the book of Enki and how that all ties in completely. And we see right here in 100,000 years after the ice age, and it says right there the Nephilim, and we all know Nephilim's in the Bible. It says right here that they began to marry the daughters of men, okay? So which means they started to procreate with the daughters of men, all right? Same as how it says in the Bible that the gods did, all right? So now we're seeing who they're talking about when they're saying these gods, okay? We're seeing it right here, okay? All right. Now, as we're looking through, we're starting to see they starting to proclaim Sumer. All right. Now we're looking through their lands, and they starting to acquire the lands, and then people starting to take on their names. We see the Akkadians in 2300 BC. All right. We see in 3100 BC. We see the pharaohs in Memphis. Okay. We seeing the Tower of Babel happening. Okay. So we're seeing all these comparisons and things that's going on in the Bible and things that they're talking about in the accounts of the Gospel of Enki also. Okay. Seeing the Great Pyramids. Okay. Now in this one, it's saying that Marduk is the one who builds the Tower of Babel. Okay. And in the Bible, we know that that's Nimrod. In their translation, they're saying Nimrod is the one that's building the Tower of Babel. Okay? So we see in the comparison just a different name. All right? Now. Okay? Now we see it over here in 2180 BC. It says Egypt divided, followers of Ra and Marduk retained the south. Pharaohs opposed and the gain in the throne of Lower Egypt. So this is a battle between the Upper and Lower Egypt, okay? So we're seeing a lot of things happening. So we're seeing the accounts and the connection between a lot of accounts that are going together, all right? Now we're looking at an ancient city they attributed to the Anunnaki, okay? Now let's see what it says. Let's see what it says. While it remains a quite enigma whether or not the ancient Anunnaki existed on Earth, if they were intervened in any way with the evolution of the human species, the truth is that many ancient civilizations around the globe show what appear to be links or clues that possibly indicate a similar source of their knowledge. Okay. Now this is a man, Mr. Tellinger. He was doing the studies on this and just trying to find out if these places actually existed and going to these locations. So we're going to show you a few of these locations that have been covered up by sand or grass and all that, but these are all in the Middle East, and these are part of these lands that they were talking about in the stories we were just telling. So let's check out a few. Okay? 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 So we see in the area that they're talking about, seeing that these places actually existed. Okay? Without no question. With no question in our minds, okay? We know about Mesopotamia. We know about Sumer. They tell us that they were built by certain people. Now we seeing and we reading who these places were built by. Now here's some aerial views of some of the cities. All right, some of the landing spots that they were talking about. The followers of Enki, where they landed, and where the squad of Enlil, where they landed. And we seeing some of the areas, okay? Okay, now let's go back and look at the comparisons. If we're looking at, let's go deeper into the comparisons, okay? Now we can see here we have Genesis. First, we have the characteristic, okay? We're going to look at the things that happen. We're going to go over the topics, and we're going to break it down in each book and completely compare what happened, okay? Let's go a little deeper, okay? Now, the first comparison, the reason for the flood. Okay, because there was a flood in the book of Enki, and there's a flood in Genesis. Okay, and in this flood, let's see what happens in both floods. All right. The reason for the flood, human wickedness in Genesis. Now they say in Gilgamesh, the Epic of Gilgamesh, but this is in the book of Enki. Okay, so it's saying excess in human noisiness. Okay, so they're just saying man was running wild and running crazy. Okay. Response of the deity. The Lord was sorry he made man because of his wickedness. The gods could not sleep. So they're saying the gods could not sleep because of man's noisiness. It was too much wickedness and wild shit going on down there. And Enki and Enlil couldn't handle it. They were getting restless over it. Okay? Now, who did the warning? Who were they warned by about the flood? In Genesis, Yahweh. In the book of Enki, Ea. Why was the character chosen? A righteous man. No reason given in the Gospel of Enki, okay? intended for, all humans except Noah and his family. Gilgamesh, all humans. Decision to send the flood, Yahweh. Decision to send the flood in Gilgamesh, the council of the gods, primarily Enlil, okay? You'll see Enlil and Ea, they have, it's kind of like the same person as we see coming through here, okay? And Yahweh and Enlil will see the comparison and the similarities between Yahweh and Enlil, okay? And Enlilites, Yahweh, Israel, Israelites. We see in the comparison, we see in the similarities, family, okay? Now, the character's response. Noah warned his neighbors of upcoming judgment as the preacher of righteousness. Enki, the book of Enki, told by Ea to lie to neighbors and so that they would help him build the boat. Okay? So in their story, he told the neighbors, he told the people to a different story to help them come together and help build the boat. Okay? But Noah came and told them the story of the flood and what was going to happen as a righteous preacher and as a testimony and as a prophecy to build this boat so that they could survive this flood. Okay? Now, if we're looking at the dimensions, we see in the boat sizes. We seeing what the boat, the roof of the boat, how many decks on the boat, the humans on the boat was Noah and his family. And we seeing it was this guy and his family and the craftsmen of the city, the people who helped build it, okay, and you know, the blacksmiths and those people, the cargo, animals and food, gold, jewels, and other valuables, launching by the flood waters, pushed into the river, door closed by Yahweh, closed by this guy in the Gospel of Enki, the book of Enki. Sign the flood was coming, none here, none in the Bible, besides Noah telling them that the flood was coming. In the book of Enki, extremely bright light sent by the Anunnaki, collection of Sumerian gods, okay? So the Anunnaki sends them a warning by a bright light sent through the sky, okay? Now we're seeing who the waters were sent by, Yahweh. And this right here shows the council that they had, okay? Adad with help from the gods Shamash, Shulat, Hanash, Aragal, and Ninurta, okay? Reaction of the deity to the flood, in control of the water. God's in control of the waters, okay, in the Bible, okay? In the book of Enki, God scrambled to get away from the water like whipped dogs, okay? So they're saying like the people were down there who didn't make it, and some of the Anunnaki who were down there were trying to get out of there and get out the way, okay? Now we have the duration. We don't see any similarities on how long it rained. Duration was 40 days and 40 nights. It says 7 days, 7 nights here. Duration of the flood, 370 days, which is a little over a year. 2 weeks, 14 days in the book of Enki. The boat landed on Mount Arafat in the Bible. We all know that. And Mount Nisir in the book of Enki. Okay? Now the deity's reaction was no regret mentioned because this is what the God wanted. Okay? This is what God wanted in the Bible. Now in the book of Enki, it says regretted that they had killed all the humans. Okay, so it's like, so he felt remorseful about bringing on the flood and taking out the humans that they had blended with and created and made with their own seed. Okay, so we see in the comparisons right here of even the flood now. So we saw the comparison of the creation of man, and now we see in the flood, and we're seeing how these stories is told in both books. Okay, and we're seeing the one that's older. So we're seeing how they translated it down and brought it down into this theology that we have today. Okay? We're going deep, family. I told you, we're decoding a glimpse in the past, and we're breaking it out. We're bringing out the books, and we're seeing where it came from and who wrote it, how it was wrote, and comparing how it was done, family, so we can bring it together and see and tapping into the source. Okay? Let's continue. All right. Now, here's another comparison, okay? Here's another, a better glimpse, all right? Now, we see on the left, we see the book of Enki on the left, and we see in the Bible on the right, all right? Now, the Gilgamesh text says it was in 2000 BCE, all right? Genesis about 1000 BCE. And then we have Zasudra, and then we have Noah, okay? The same person, okay? Zasudra is Noah in the comparison, okay? annoyed by the human noise, God dismayed by evil of mankind. Okay? Ea or Enki warns Zasudra in a dream of the upcoming flood. Okay? Noah is chosen by a righteous man. Noah follows God's directions to build an ark. Okay? Okay? So Enki picks Zasudra and in a dream, sends a dream, and the dream comes to him in a dream and tells him about the flood. Okay? So he had to build, the boat was built in 7 days. All right? The contents, the family, the kin, animals, craftsmen, and gold. All right? Contents in the Bible, family, 7 of the clean beasts, 2 of the unclean beasts. Okay? Now in this one, it says 6 days and 6 nights of rain and rising water. All right? 40 days and 40 nights of rain. All right? Ishtar regrets divine counsel's decision. Okay, all mankind perish, and then in the Bible, all mankind perishes except Noah's family. Ark lands on Mount Ararat or Arafat, same thing. Okay, so over here, the feminine goddess who was there, who had voted for the flood to happen, regrets that everyone had been killed. Okay, and the boat lands on Mount Nisir. All right, not knowing that everybody hadn't been killed, okay, because they had been warned by Enki, all right, or over here in the Bible, warned by God, so that way everybody wasn't killed, okay? Now it says here in the book of Enki on the left, a dove or a swallow and raven was released. That's how they was able to find land, okay? Now over here it says the ark lands on Mount Ararat, a raven, a dove released. The dove was released to find the land, okay? Okay? You see it right here, family. We see it right here, family. It's indisputable, okay? No disputes after this, okay, family? We locked in, we breaking them down, we digging into the truth, and we're going deeper and deeper, and we comparing it, and we coming out with the facts, okay? Okay? Now let's look at this last one, family, on both sides, okay? These last two. Sacrifice and libation was given in the book of Enki. Now, in Noah, burnt offerings to God, okay? Burnt offerings to God, okay? And the last one, check this out. On the left in the book of Enki, Ishtar's necklace sent into sky as a token, okay? Ishtar's necklace set in the sky as a token, okay? And now what's it say in the Bible? Rainbow sent in the sky as a token of new covenant between God and mankind, okay? Okay, so we see they're talking about the rainbow in the sky after the waters. It's the same thing they saw. What they saying is Ishtar's necklace set in the sky. Okay, the multicolored rainbow. Okay, okay, the exact same thing, family. It's the exact same thing. Okay, let's continue. Okay, now I just wanted to show you this, family, right here. This is on the Sumerian walls in Mesopotamia, up there in Iraq area, where they say all this happened. And this is one of the stone pictures of Enki. Okay, now I want you to look at this. We all know the Sumerian gods, and we know, and people have seen them before, so we know what we're looking at. But I want you to take something out, okay? I want you to check something out. You see the 2 horns right here, okay, family? Now, he has this on both sides. Now, in different helmets that they wore in different moments in time, in different situations, and different rankings, so to speak, okay? They wore these and they had the horns on it, okay? Now, there's horns on both sides of this helmet that he's wearing, okay? That this Sumerian god's wearing, one of the Anunnaki is wearing, okay? But I want you to notice this. There's 2 horns, okay? And we know these are the horns of the bull horns, okay? A lot of you would say, okay, so that must mean it's the time of Taurus, okay? That could be true, okay? But also I want you to notice the 2 horns is what? The 2 bulls, okay? So what would be a translation of the 2 bulls, okay? The Bi-Bull. All right, family, iGod TV, Born Build Universal, okay? Transmitter of supreme science on earth and in the universe, okay? Season 2, family. Right here, we looking at the god in Sumerian times of the Anunnaki with the 2 horns, the Bible. All right? All right? We look at the Lost Book of Enki. We see in the story. We see in the comparison. We see how it matches up with the Bible. And we see the two horns. We're looking at the Bible right here, family. Okay? It can't get no more simple and plain than that, family. It's right here. The Bible right here. We seeing it right here, family. Okay? The two horns, the Bible. All right, family? iGod-TV, family. You're not going to get this nowhere else, family. Okay? Make sure you like and subscribing and you sharing the videos, family, so the rest of the people can tap in and get to the truth. All right, family? Don't keep it for yourself. Do what I did. Put it out there for the family to enjoy and to soak up and find themselves. Okay? iGod-TV. Let's continue. Whew. We going in. We going in on season 2, family. Okay? All right. I know this is a little blurry, family, but I want you to just check out a couple points, okay? How we was talking about the Anunnaki and the flood and what I told you earlier about Yahweh and Enlil, okay? In the Bible, Yahweh. In the book of Enki, Enlil, okay? Now, what's it say? Yahweh or Enlil wanted disease and starvation and a flood to kill all the hybrids, okay? So what he's saying is here is he wanted to create this flood to destroy the people that they had created, okay? Because of the evil that was going on in the land, okay? So he decided he wanted to destroy it, all right? Then what's it say down here? Enlil, keep coming, flood, secret, keep the flood a secret from the hybrids so it will kill them off, okay? He didn't want to tell anybody about the flood, but Enki, we know Enki went and told and made the warning to the Sudra, okay? Okay? And what's it say under this? Will the Antarctic glaciers again launch NOAA level waves and 10-foot rise in sea levels? Okay, they're saying about with the ice caps melt again, okay? And they're trying to show you how the flood could have happened through the melting of the ice cap. See down here on the left, all right? But what I wanted you to see is this comparison, how they're saying Yahweh and Enlil, who's both making the command. In the Bible, Yahweh is making the command. In the book of Enki, Enlil is making the command. Okay? Okay, keep that in mind. All right. Now, what we were talking about earlier about the Tower of Babel, we said an Anunnaki bombed Babel launch tower to stop Marduk from uniting us against them. Okay? Okay? So if we know, it says in the Bible, God came down and destroyed the Tower of Babel. Okay? Okay? And confused the people. All right? In the book of Enki, it's saying that Marduk was trying to unite the people against the Anunnaki, okay, for what they had done. And they had this tower, okay, where they were going to try to go up and destroy the gods. And they destroyed the launch tower so they couldn't go up and take war against the Anunnaki in their home planet. Okay? Okay? And God said in the Bible, he destroyed this because they were trying to come together to reach God. He was trying to, Nimrod was building a tower to try to reach up to God, okay? And in the book of Enki, Marduk had built this tower as a launching pad to go off into space, to go to their planet, Nibiru, to place war against those Anunnaki, okay? Because he was a part of the bloodline of the half humans and half Anunnaki, okay? He was a part of that bloodline, okay? And he wanted to go back and take war against them, and his tower was destroyed, okay? See down here, Ninurta bombed Babel, okay? Okay? We see it right here, simple and plain. And we look on the right, says the same thing. Marduk says he's Yahweh, Allah, Jesus. He pitted us against each other, but says he reformed and he is the Messiah. Okay? So this is what they're saying about Marduk's going to the people saying, look, I am the new leader. I'm taking over. I made a few mistakes, but I'm taking over for the people, and we're going to go up and we're going to take out these gods or these Anunnakis, these leaders that's been doing whatever they want to us and treating us terribly throughout time. I'm going to step up for the people of mankind, the human family, and take over take over the company, okay? Take over what's been going on, all right? Okay, so when we talking about people, is we talking about everybody when they ask these questions about aliens, angels, and these stories about who came down here, what happened, and how it happened, okay? Okay, so in the Bible, we talking about things with these angels sleeping with man and doing these things, you know, that they shouldn't have done. And then we see it in the book of Enki how these extraterrestrials came down and started messing around with the genealogy, and it started a war, and man started going against these extraterrestrials. Okay? Okay? So these is answering your questions about how do these stories come in? What are these stories? And what is the story of these extraterrestrials? And have they ever visited? And if they have, what happened? We're going through it today, family. Okay? The alien mystery is here. Okay? We are unlocking it tonight. Okay? Now, let's look at the top of this article. Enki begot Noah, Zasudra, with his formans. Okay? Noah's sons after the deluge ruled Sumer for the Anunnaki. Okay? Okay? You see it right here. We know Noah and Zasudra is the same person in translation, okay? Same person. They talking about the same guy. And it says right here, Noah's sons after the deluge ruled Sumer for the Anunnaki, okay? And if you're looking in the Bible, we all know how the story goes. They tell us about how Noah's children took over the land and settled in the land after the flood waters went down, okay? So we see the comparison again. Once again, we see the comparison and we see the exact similarities. Okay? Let's continue. All right, now look at this, okay? Now this is a drawing from the tablet, okay? This is from the book, but they have this written in stone, okay? This is in the stone tablet, okay? Okay? So look. Let's see what it says. Enlil tethered and imprisoned Enki in an energy field because he gave Tiamat, the first Eve, and Adamu self-awareness and reproduction. Okay? Eve conscious before Adam is. Eve conscious before Adam is. So in this book, they say it different. They talk like Yoda in this book, so you kind of got to reverse it, all right? So they're saying Eve is conscious before Adam, okay? And has adorned her belly and genitals, okay? Proud of her source of pleasure. She stares at her Enki, her dad, in tethers, okay? So what they're saying is Adam and Eve from the Bible, or the Adam and Eve in the Bible, or the two beings that they were created, half Anunnaki, half human, okay? When they're saying about how Enlil gave them the awareness gave them awareness, self-awareness, and reproduction, okay? When we saw earlier, I said he changed them genetically so they would be able to reproduce, all right? But it also, check it out right here, how it says self-awareness, okay? So if we're saying about how in the Bible, it says about how the evil serpent, after Eve bit the apple, after Eve bit the apple from the serpent, she became self-aware. She knew she was naked. She had the knowledge of self, okay? And it says right here, Eve is conscious before Adam, okay? So in the Bible, Eve makes the mistake first of eating the apple, and then Adam does it second. Same thing in the book of Enki, but it's not an evil thing that's happening. It's a transformation from now just being pretty much like drones or robots that can't even reproduce or think. He gives them the ability of self-awareness and reproduction. Okay? Okay? And it said that they had went in and raided the village of Enki, and that's how they kidnapped the workers to come and advance them. All right? And you see right here on the tablet, it shows you how Enki's in the middle and they have him in this prison, okay? And they've taken away Adam and Eve and to transform their DNA. Okay? And if you look in the Bible, what happened with the serpent and the devil was locked in a prison. Okay? Was locked in a prison. All right? Same exact thing, family. Okay? We're not playing no games. We're not trying to offend nobody. We're not trying to make anyone look bad. We're just going deep into the facts. We're digging deeper into the planet, and we finding out the truths, and we're making the comparisons. Okay? And we're seeing the accounts. All right? We're just comparing the accounts, family. Okay? We're not here to offend nobody. We're not here to talk down on nobody. We're just comparing the accounts, family. And the evidence is right here. So take it how you want it. Okay? Now, we see on the left, on this article, they're talking about how the workers, after he genetically advanced them to be able to produce and think on their own, or in the Bible, after they ate the fruit, okay, they were what? It says, Enlil sent Tiamat and Adam, which is Adam and Eve, to Zimbabwe to breed slaves, okay? Go to Africa to breed, all right? So right here is when they being what? Kicked out of the garden, okay? They're leaving the Mesopotamian area, okay, where they were created, okay, by the time between the Tigris and the Euphrates up in the Iraq area, all right, and they're sent down into the jungles of Africa to breed, produce, and go down there because we know they were down there. That's where the gold was, okay? They were down there mining the gold, okay? And in your Bible, they were kicked out the garden after they became aware, all right? But in the book of Enki, they were purposely made aware so there'd be more efficient miners, okay? Okay? Now let's look up underneath. And what's this say? Enki created the Snake Brotherhood. Okay? Okay? Now what's that say? What's that telling you? When it said that Enki was locked in that prison, it said the devil was locked in that prison. Satan was locked in that prison. Okay? And he was the evil serpent. Okay? Enki creates the Snake Brotherhood. Okay, family? Okay? Okay. After he went against what the Anunnaki was saying, and he warned the Sudra about the flood. Okay, they punished him. Okay, he took in and had sex with the humans. Okay, and breeded a being out of them. Okay, they punished him for that too. Okay. But how they twisted it in the Bible, the serpent is one who gave him the fruit to have the awareness, okay? But in this one, Enlil taps into the DNA and gives him the ability to give him the knowledge of self and ability to reproduce, okay? And if we all know into the apple, into the seed is the DNA, okay? Tapped in, and we looked earlier, it said that they tapped in, that Enki, they had tapped into the seed of the original woman. Okay, of the eighth woman. They tapped into the seed of the eighth woman, okay, when they were making these beings, okay? So the apple is the seed and the apple is the DNA, okay? This is how you're translating the story, okay? All right, now, here's another little account of what they're telling us about with Noah again. So Sudra told Enlil he devoted himself to Enki. Okay, so this right here is showing you how Noah is saying that he was devoted to Enki because Enki had told him about the flood. Okay, and what's Noah doing in the Bible? Devoted to God from then on, to Yahweh, because of the warning of the flood. Okay? Okay? And it says the Sudra said that he would finish, that he finished the boat and he would take his community down to Africa near Enki. Let Enki and his followers leave Sumer, sail to Africa, and there die in the flood, thought Enlil. Okay? So Yahweh is saying about Satan, so to speak, or Enki, or Ea, okay, that his people to go down into the jungle, to go down into Africa where they were doing the mining at, okay, they couldn't be around anymore because the Sudra had pledged his allegiance to Enki, okay? So he's telling Yahweh, like, look, I'm going with them. and they were kicked out the garden and sent from their original place. Okay? Same story, family. Okay? Same story. All right? Now, first, let's look over here to the right for a second and see and check out the comments. Okay? Enlil let us survive. He'd rule through Noah's sons. Okay? Now, what's that saying? All right? We saw that it said Noah decided, or the Sudra decided to follow after Enki. Okay? But some of his sons didn't agree of Zasudra, okay, or Noah. Some of his sons didn't agree and decided Enlil let us survive afterwards. He could have killed us, but he let us survive and just kicked us out. So his name would survive through us, okay? And if you look in the Bible, you see how the sons of Noah broke down into the theologies that we have today. Hamites, Shemites, Japheth, okay? We have the Israelites and the Enlilites, okay? The followers of Enlil or Israel or Israel became the Israelites or Israel, okay? Enlil, Israel, Yahweh is the same thing, okay? And it was carried on by the sons of Zasudra or the sons of Noah, okay? 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 I'm telling you, family, if you're somebody who hasn't read this book, but have read the Bible or the Quran, you can see where I was at years ago when I tapped into this book and how the comparisons just came to me naturally in my mind, okay, from being an avid studier on theology, okay? Now let's look over here on the left for a second. They're going to show us some of the alternate definitions from what the Bible says and then what it says, and then the translation in the book of Enki, okay? Let's look at the first one, the clouds. The Igigi, the high-ranked Anunnaki, okay? So this was the higher rankings, like we were talking about earlier, the ranking of the bull horns, okay? You can see the higher ranks was the more horns on the helmet, okay? And if they say, if you look in the Bible, it says that the horns is what? The Satan had, the horns, the devil with the horns, all right? So we see in the horns in the rankings of the Anunnaki, and the Igigi is the highest of them, just like the clouds are highest up in the sky, okay? The angels is a messenger, okay? A boat, a bark, or barge, a ship, or for transportation, okay? The celestial ships, okay? A lion, a regal decree, royal descent. This is one of the high Anunnakis of Enlil and Enki and Anu. We'll show you later on here how this royal descent breaks down, okay? The serpent, the descendants of Enki, genetics, okay? Like we said, he started the clan of the orders of the serpents, okay? There's the serpent tribe, okay? The followers of Enki, which is said earlier that Noah decided to follow, or the Sudra decided to follow after, but some of his sons decided not to. Now the dragon, Enlil's descendants, okay? So we have the dragon tribe and we have the serpent tribe, okay? Of Enlil and Enki, okay? So we've seen that some of the brothers decided to go with the dragon tribe, okay? And a lot of us, we know in the mysteries, you had the dragon and the serpents, okay? Now, fruit, the offspring or the generations, okay? The fruit was what was tapped into. The fruit is what gave, what Eve gave Adam, what Eve had got from the serpent, which changed us forever, that was supposedly changed us forever, okay? But the fruit was also tapped into, the offspring and the generations was also tapped into by Enki and then Enlil afterwards in the creation of this slave race, so to speak, okay? Ark of the Covenant, communications, okay? And we've all seen that in season 1 about the Ark of the Covenant. It was an electrical device, okay? And it says right here is a communications device in the book of Enki, okay? Ark of the Testament, activated weapons, okay? The weapons of destruction that they used when they destroyed the planet, because actually they did it twice, okay? And the second time they did nuclear bombs and nuclear weaponry, which is ironic because it says in the last days that God would destroy the earth by fire, Okay, but if you read the book of Enki, the last time they destroyed the earth, they did it with nuclear weapons. And we all said before that people say that nuclear is what they were going to do next. Okay, so it's all tying in, family. Okay, swords, words or orders, royal decrees of war, court curses. Okay, the negotiations of war. All right, the watchers, the Igigi, the Anunnaki. Okay, and you see in the Bible where it talks about the watchers. Okay, now the rib. Okay, Adam and Eve and took the rib, came from Adam's rib. City states within a kingdom. Okay, different territories within the kingdom. Okay, Adam gave Eve the rib. Okay, which the meaning they were from the same area. Okay, and he gave her dominion over an area of the kingdom. Okay, the storms, destruction by royal decree. Okay, which is saying just the activity of the Anunnaki or their gods, so to speak. All right. So we see the comparison and we see the translation of the words that they use and how they all break down and how they compare exactly and how they're completely similar. Okay, let's continue. Now, here's another diagram of what we were looking at earlier. Okay, and the comparison of how these things come together. Okay, now we see the extent of the flood in both Genesis and in the book of Enki. Okay, the extent of the flood, global. Okay, cause man's wickedness, man's sins. Okay, intended for whom? All mankind. One city and all mankind. Sender Yahweh, assembly of the gods, or Enlil and the rest of the gods. Okay, we see the hero Noah, and we see Zasudra. We see Noah and Zasudra, okay? The character, the righteous character, okay? Means of announcement, direct from God, and in a dream in the book of Enki, okay? Order to build a boat? Yes, both were ordered to build a boat. Did the hero complain? Yes, they both complained about it at first. They didn't want to do it at first. Heights of the boat, several stories, okay? Compartments inside, many compartments, one door, okay? One window, okay? Outside coating, pitch, okay? Shape of the boat, rectangular or square in the book of Enki. Human passengers, family members only. Family and few others in the other, in the book of Enki, okay? We see in the comparisons right here, okay? All species of animals, all right? Release of the birds is how they found the land, okay? A dove, a raven, and 3 doves. Dove, a swallow, and a raven. 3 birds. Okay? We seen it over here too on the right. When they got here to the creation, okay? This was the flood on the left. On the right, we see in the creation part. Agriculture, irrigation. Eden watered by irrigation. Okay? Lesser gods and the original laborers. Yahweh is the original laborer of the plants of the garden. He built the garden first. In the book of Enki, the high rankers first settled the land. Like we said, they went and surveyed the land and they found the names of everything and they brought it all together. Okay? And the Anunnaki enjoyed the privileges of the divine rank. Okay? Yahweh had the private garden with special trees of life and wisdom. Okay? So for divine rank, they have their area and they had the camp. Okay? Institution of marriage. Okay? That's where Noah and all them and Adam and Eve and all them begin their bloodline. You start to see the breakdown of the genealogy. Okay? Same here. Okay? Same here. Okay? We see the comparisons. Okay? Back here, we see in the flood. The God Enlil sends a flood down to drown humanity. Yahweh sends a flood to punish humanity's wickedness. Okay? Enlil tells of the flood. Yahweh tells Noah about the flood so he can escape. Okay? Let's keep going. Okay? The God smelled the sacrifice and blessed the survivors. Yahweh smells the sacrifice and blesses creation. Okay? Enlil is reconciled to humanity. Okay? Yahweh is reconciled to flawed humanity. Okay? Okay? We see it right here. Limitations imposed on humans. Limitations imposed on the humans. Okay? 120-year lifespan. Okay? Now they had to become normal humans to die. Okay? sign of divine goodwill, the goddess of nurture's fly necklace, okay, which is multicolored joint, all right, or necklace in the sky. Sign of divine goodwill, duration of seasons, and the rainbow, okay, Yahweh's bow, all right. So we seeing how it's exactly broke down, how it's translated, how they brought it out, and this gave us the exact same story, family, okay? Who are we really reading about? What are they really talking about? Aliens, angels, humans. We seeing how the stories are breaking down, and we seeing as it gets older, it changes, and it gets a little bit more in depth of what's going on, okay? Let's continue. All right, now, this is a picture of their genealogy, the genealogy of the Anunnaki, okay? Seeing Anu on the left is the father of Enlil and Enki and Nin-Hersag, okay? These were the ones who were doing all the work in the beginning. They brought their troops down, their squads down, and they were doing all the DNA interacting. They were doing all the cataloging of the things on the earth. And they were doing all the transformation of the human beings and the things they were doing, all right? Now we see over here on the right, we see in the both of the tribes, the dragon tribe and the serpent tribe, okay? Enki and his clan and his sitting on his throne. And we're seeing Enlil and his people on their throne. Now we're seeing Enki's people went down into southern Africa, it says. And Enlil's people stayed up in the Mesopotamian area, okay? Now keep that in mind. The Enlilites stayed up in the Mesopotamian area. Okay, let's continue. All right, now this is it on the stone. Okay, now if we're looking at it on the stone, we see it. I want you to just look at this. Okay, we see it on the left, how it looks at on the stone. Exactly. Now this is Enki over here. Okay, this is Enlil and them over here. All right, now if we're looking over here at the close up, we see an Enki right here with the horns. Now we see in the rankings. Now we see in the rankings with the horns. This is an angel, all right, or an Anunnaki, okay? And we seeing him standing over the waters, and we seeing the fish jumping right out of the waters, okay? Now if we're looking at Jesus, we're seeing that how he made the blessings of the fish miracle, okay? If we're looking at the story of Jesus, we're seeing the fish miracle, okay? If we see it right here, we see an Enki, okay, and the other angels and the other Anunnaki around, okay, and they're making the fish jump out of the water, okay. This is them landing, and when they see in the abundance of the fish, you know, and that we saw earlier when they got here, and they were on the land, they were separating the fish in the waters and checking to see what was good and what wasn't, which also ties into the Jesus story and the fish in the Bible, okay. They're just using these same characters and switching up the stories for new characters in a different book. Okay, it's clear to see. All right, let's continue. Okay. I had to put this up here, family. All right. Now we see on the left, we know who this is. All right, and we seeing the ships and the UFOs on the side. All right, who are we dealing with? All right, are we dealing with human beings and the spiritual essence and the spiritual story, or are we dealing with the story of a landing of extraterrestrials on this planet? That's the question. All right, that's this whole episode's about. What are we dealing with here? Aliens or angels, okay? A spiritual story or a physical story of a discovery or a settling of this on this planet by extraterrestrials, okay? Okay, and this picture on the left, on the right, I threw that in there. This is a statue of the god El, okay? And if we know anything about El, he's in the Bible, he is named as God. One of the names of God in the Bible is El, okay? And this statue of El here, and in the story of El, of this statue, he was an extraterrestrial, okay? He was an alien god, all right? And in the Bible, one of the names of God is El, okay? And you're looking at El right here. All right, family? iGod TV, okay? Everybody in the building, tell your people to pull up. Tell them to pull up, family, all right? We taking it there. All right. We go in there. We're not playing no games. We're not leaving no room for argument. All right. Season 2, a glimpse in the past. Okay. All right. Now let's look at some of the geographical sites in these areas to show you some of the building and what they were doing and how they was putting it together. Okay. And how these names of the people now and in the Bible, what they were using. Okay. These places that they talk about, and these monuments are in Iraq, in the Middle East, near the Tigris and Euphrates, okay? They're not in Israel. They're not in Northern Africa, okay? They're not in Saudi Arabia, all right? They are over in Iraq, okay? Where these Anunnaki claim they landed, and then they flooded, and then they moved down towards into the south, into Africa, and into the southern lands looking for the resources. And we all know Africa is the most abundant place for the resources, okay? But I'm gonna show you their settlements right here and where they were, okay? Now let's just look at a few spots in the Bible and a few names of people and look at the landmarks and see where they're located, okay? So on the left and the right, it's the same picture, zoom in and zoomed out. But this is St. Matthew's Monastery in Iraq. Okay, family? Not in Saudi Arabia, not in Israel, not in Palestine, not in Northern Africa, okay? Iraq, okay? St. Matthew, all right? Over on the left, we have the Church of St. Thomas in Mosul, okay? That's in Iraq, all right? That's in Iraq. St. Thomas, remember the Gospel of Thomas was one of the hidden Gospels? Here's his church right here on the left, family. Okay, and to prove that it's in Iraq, it says it was taken by insurgents up until 2017, okay, by Islamic State. Okay, they had took it back, okay? They had took it back at some point, and we're seeing right now it's happening again in Pakistan, all right? In Afghanistan, we're seeing this happening again where the Islamic States are regaining their territories back, okay? Now look on the right, okay? We see St. Elijah's Monastery, okay, in the same city, okay, in the same city, okay? Where are these churches and these places and these tombs and these monasteries in Northern Africa, so to speak, or your Israel or your Palestine, okay? Why are all these places all the way up in Iraq where there's supposed to be other things going on, other theologies going on? Okay, well, you might say, oh, well, the Quran and the Bible, you can compare them and it was all the same people and the same things going on. Okay, well, if that's the case, these monuments and these things that were built in this area is the same place where these monuments that are built for the Sumerians of Sumer or the so-called Anunnaki. Okay, that's what I'm saying. This is in the same area, okay, built on the same land, okay? Which shows you that they built their temples on the same foundation, the same way that they built their book on the same foundation from the scrolls from the book of Enki, okay? Okay, and we've been showing that all night tonight, family, okay? Bringing the actual facts right and exact, okay, without error, okay? Peace to the gods. Okay, now check this out. Christianity in Iraq, okay? I brought this up just to show you the comparison of the land and the territory, all right? Just to show you that this is all coming from the same place. Now let's skip down a little bit, okay? And let's read right here. Iraq plays a rich and vital contribution to Christianity, to Christian history. And after Israel, Iraq has the most biblical history of any other country in the world. Okay? Okay? They wanted to throw Israel in here just to be politically correct. But there's more historical sites and artifacts in Iraq. Okay? And your Tigris and the Euphrates is in Iraq. Okay? So they had to water it down a little, but they're telling you right here, the actual fact is right here. Iraq has the most biblical history of any other country in the world, okay? The patriarch Abraham was from Ur, or Ur-Unk, okay, in southern Iraq, okay? Chaldea is in southern Iraq, okay? Abraham came up out of Chaldea, which means he was coming out of Iraq, okay? Where these Anunnaki had went and they had mixed in with these people and created a bloodline, okay? These Enlilites, these Israelites of Abraham, these Israelites they talk about are the same people that were the Enlilites, the followers of Enlil that stayed up in Iraq, okay? And it says right here, Abraham was from Ur in southern Iraq, okay? Modern day, the Syria, okay? And Rebecca was from northwest Iraq in Assyria, okay? Additionally, check this out, family, and we're going to show some evidence later on of this, okay? But check this out. Additionally, Daniel lived in Iraq most of his life, okay? So we know if they say most of his life, he was born and he died in Iraq, okay? He was born and he died in Iraq, all right, family? None of this is happening where you think it's happening, okay? As we see, all right? None of the story is going like how it was told to us, and none of these locations was the location that we think that it is, okay, family? Okay? And we're showing you here tonight on iGod TV. And when I pull up in season 2, we straight decode the mysteries. All right, let's go. Let's continue. The prophet Ezekiel was from southern Iraq, and his shrine is still located there. Okay? Okay? So we got Abraham, Rebecca, Daniel, Ezekiel. Let's continue. Let's see who else. Shrines of the prophet Jonah and St. George are also located there, okay? And various other biblical prophets and saints are also said to have been originally from there as well, okay? Okay, family? They got the location twisted, okay? They got you traveling to a location looking for what they built up as an illusion for you when the real artifacts and the real origination for what you follow is somewhere else. Okay? And then you wonder why they over there fighting over that land so much. Okay? They telling you it's about the oil. They telling you it's about terrorism. It's about the truth and the facts and the origins of the made man. Okay? And if you notice, the mafia, the highest level of the mafia was a made man. Okay? And they're showing you right here that the bloodline of the made man, okay, and his originations in Iraq, okay? Let's continue. Adam and Eve are also widely thought to have originated from Iraq, as the biblical Garden of Eden is largely attributed to have been located in southern Iraq, which we know is the location of the Tigris and the Euphrates, okay? 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 So we know what this is all about, and we know what the fighting has been about for the last 20-some years, really 20,000 years. But most recently, the last 20 years, we see what's been going on. They're fighting over this original land, okay? Not just over in Israel and Palestine, okay? We're talking about in Iraq. They had to take Saddam out. You see, and if you know anything about the story, people laugh at the story about Saddam and the Stargate, but we see the connection, okay? Because Saddam was saying he was a descendant of one of the ancient kings, okay? And we know he was hiding in his castle of that ancient king, or an ancient temple of who? An Anunnaki, a Sumerian. Saddam was living in one of the temples or the kingdom or the castle of one of the ancient Sumerian Anunnaki kings, okay? And said he was related to one of them, okay? Was part of the bloodline of them, okay? Which we know, it said earlier that they had tapped into the bloodline of the humans of the earth and mixed in the lines, okay, with the Anunnaki, okay? So all your stories about these leaders being serpents and reptilians and all this stuff they talk about, they said Enki was the leader of the order of the serpents. Okay? Okay? We going in tonight, family. We locking in and we taking it to the deepest depths, okay? All right? We see the reptilian story and what they talk about, these bloodlines of rulership, because we see it said earlier that Enki and Enlil both had reptilian orders, okay? The dragon and the serpents, okay? And we seeing how the bloodlines went down, okay? But as we see it here, family, we're seeing that all these things took place and these people originated in Iraq, okay? That's the thing. So we're seeing what's been going on with the United States, and we've been seeing what's been going on with the Middle East and how they're fighting over this story, the Quran and the Bible, and how they all both originate from the story of the Anunnaki, okay? Both of them want to take claim of the story because they both come from those lines of Enlil and Enki, okay? The dragon order and the serpent order, okay? These are the lines of the made man, okay? For all my gods and earths, okay? These are the lines of the made man, all right? And the books that he fight over, and the original book that he originated from, and the land where it all happened. Okay? Okay? We're seeing it right here tonight, family. Let's go down one more and just see this right here, okay? Prior to the Gulf War in 1991, Christians numbered 1 million in Iraq. This may be an undercount by half as seen in the 1987 census, okay? The rule under Saddam Hussein kept anti-Christian violence under control, but subjected some to relocation programs, okay? They was moving them out, shipping them out as refugees, okay? Under this regime, the predominantly ethnically, linguistically distinct Assyrian people were pressured to identify as Arabs, okay? The Christian population fell to an estimated 800,000 during the 2003 Iraq war, okay? So we already see right here how what this war and what this stuff has all been about this whole time. It's about whose theology is true, who those original people are, who these chosen people are. That's why they're fighting over Israel and Palestine now, because they're trying to fight over who's the rightful owner of the land through the lines, okay? And the two lines of Enki and Enlil, okay? Or they're trying to give you Ham and Shem, or what they want to try to tell you. But we're showing you here tonight exactly what these lines are of the made man and the land he fights over and the theology in the book he fights for and over. Okay? 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 Season 2, iGod TV. Let's continue. All right. Now, let's just take a quick glimpse at some of the burial sites of the people from the Bible and show you where their tombs are. Okay? Now, let's compare. Some of them you're going to see, they say are buried in Israel or Palestine. And some of them you're going to see, some of the greatest are buried in Iraq and Iran, okay? Let's check it out, okay? First of all, let's start off right here and show you Abel, Syria. All right? Seth, Israel, Palestine, okay? Lamech, Afghanistan, okay? Let's check out Noah, okay? Now, there's a couple tombs of Noah that they have because they've been in dispute. All right. And we've been seeing why the wars go on with these people. All right. It ain't just about resource. It's about origination of story. Okay. Now we see we got one over here in Iran and we got one in Iraq, Jordan, and Turkey, because, you know, Ararat's up there, Mount Arafat's up there. So they would have a monument for Noah there. Okay. And here's all 4 of them. Okay. But if we seeing 3 out of the 4 aren't even in the area of Israel or Palestine, okay? Turkey, Iran, and Iraq. okay? And look at the greatest one, the one in Iraq, okay? So we see an origination, all right? Abraham, Sarah, Rebecca, Jacob, Isaac, okay? They got their burial sites in Palestine, but we also know that they all originated from where? Iraq, Chaldea, okay? Okay? We all know that these people come from Iraq, all right? From what we've seen. Okay? Now let's keep looking. All right? We got some Israel. Okay? Let's look for some bigger names. All right? Okay. Now we look over here on the right. We see Ezekiel. All right? Ezekiel's tomb, Al-Kifl, Iraq. Okay, and here's some Arab brothers standing in front of it. Okay, Ezekiel's tomb is in Iraq. Okay, because we seen earlier that that's where his people were from and where he originated. Okay, a prophet. Okay, okay. So we've been showing you right here how the connection with the location of where all this happened and where all this took place. Okay, they want to try to keep you zoned in on one area so you can't make the comparison to the stories. Okay, and you can't see that the stories match exactly. Okay, but now we're going to go inside some of these tombs to show you that we're not playing around and these are the places that we were talking about. Okay, and that these names of these people are the same people, just the names translated differently, and it all comes from this same story from the book of Enki, broken down into the Quran and broken down into the King James Version of the Bible and brought to you, watered down, retranslated, and made a whole spiritual spookism story when we see that it was brought from a whole nother story of account of physical people on this earth. Okay? Now, this is not my opinion. This is not my thoughts on it. This is just the actual facts, right and exact, showing you the real comparison. Okay? Let's continue. All right. Here's another one, Ezra. Okay. Buried in Iraq. Daniel in Iran. Tomb of Daniel in Iran. Okay. Okay. We see it right here. We all know Daniel. We seen Ezekiel. We see Daniel. He's in Iran. Okay. All right. Now, here we see in some of the outside, here's the outside look and some of the inside looks of some of the tombs, okay? From your people from the Bible, okay? This one right here is Daniel, okay? This is the one in Iran, okay? This is located in Iran, all right? The tomb of Daniel, okay? A prophet not buried in Israel, okay? Okay, because the Enlilites, the Israelites, they were in Iran. That was the original land that they were kicked out of and drawn out of. Okay? Daniel's tomb in Iran. Okay? Here's Zechariah's tomb. Okay? And we see it, all of these are in Arabian lands. All right? None of these are in there. You don't see any of the rabbis or the Jewish people around any of these tombs. You see it all Arabs or Sumerians or Enlilites. Okay? So we seeing the tombs. We seeing the comparison. We seeing how it's been brought together. We seeing the two tribes, and we seeing the conflict between the books and the nations and where they both got it from and why they're fighting over it, okay? We're seeing it right here, family, okay? Now, hold on. Okay. Now, we've seen the comparison, okay? The Lost Book of Enki and the King James Version of the Bible, okay? We've seen the comparison. We've seen the scriptures. We've seen the chapters. We've seen the verses, all right? We compared, and now we looked at it, all right? Now we know, what do we know, okay? What do we get from this? We get from this the fact that the stories are completely similar, pretty much exactly the same, with just a mix-up in the, with a twist in the translations, okay? We see that the characters have been twisted and translated into different names, okay? But the exact same accounts and situations went on with the exact same people in the exact same books, okay? The exact same way, all right? But the one thing that we need to know is that the translation from this is older than what we get in the King James Version that we read now, okay? So when we break that down, it asks one question: what are we worshiping? What are we studying? What are we accepting? Okay? Okay? When you read all these, when you think about all these theories and all these stories that they come out with, we just broke them down into the core today. We got to the core of the stories, the reptilian stories they talk about, the bloodline stories they talk about, the flood stories they talk about, their alien landing and beginning civilization stories they talk about, and even the story of the made man, okay? And the creation of man, okay? So I want everybody to go back, tap in, do your studying, do your research. You don't have to believe me. Go into it yourself, go deeper, and keep unlocking the mysteries so we can see further into it and see exactly what's going on to make it back to the source, okay? That's what we do in all of season 2, a glimpse of the past. We tapping into the mysteries, we opening up the books, we going in, we doing the comparisons, and we coming out with the results, okay? We coming out with the conclusions, all right? So I want to thank everybody that's been watching. I want to thank everybody that's been tapping in from the very beginning. We off into season 2. I'm excited. I hope y'all enjoyed the show and you really got a lot from it and it was easy to understand so that you can break it down for yourself and go deeper into the mysteries and unlock it even further as you go through these books, okay? And once again, I want to thank everybody for tapping in. This is Born Build Universal, transmitter of supreme science on earth and the universe. And this is iGod TV. Peace.